Jake Laravia signs for 2 years, $12 million with the Los Angeles Lakers. I will be interested to see if this is like 11.7 million, which would fit nice and tightly into the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Or I'm sorry, would fit. I always fuck that up. Would fit nice and tightly into the taxpayer mid-level exception, or if it's a full 12 million. But Jake Laravia is now a Los Angeles Laker. And I tweeted this earlier, and the dissonance on this tweet and the juxtaposition of people who have clearly watched Jake Laravia and people who have not watched Jake Laravia was very funny to me. So on one side, you had all of the Memphis fans. I tweeted basically before we get into what the reaction was. There's a good shot Laravia is an upgrade on Dorian Finney-Smith for the Lakers. If not an upgrade, at least very close for a fraction of the price. And the reaction was all of the Memphis fans that like had watched Jake Laravia for 3 years, right? They were like, yeah, like this is right. He's actually really good on defense. Like, you know, we don't know why people think he's bad. It's just like, you know, kind of funky looking white dude, or like frame wise, not face wise or anything, but like has like a funky frame where he's like kind of a thick dude, right? Really good. Like he, you know, gives a ton of effort. He has great hands. He's pretty good on the ball. He's physical. He's strong. Like it was very funny to see Memphis fans reacting to that versus Lakers fans who felt like the sky was falling and that they had lost Dorian Finney-Smith and that Dorian Finney-Smith is the greatest defender like that they have seen in, you know, yellow and purple or purple and gold for many, many years. My God, yellow. They're going to excoriate me in the comments. Purple and gold for many, many years and everything like that. I think that Laravia being like 23, 24 years old, I would probably rather bet on Jake Laravia than 32 and 33-year-old Dorian Finney-Smith. Because again, Dorian just did not move super well last year, I didn't think. And while he is very good at being physical and like bodying up with dudes, I also think Laravia can do that while also making a little bit more of an impact with his hands, with his ability to anticipate actions in the way that he does. And then on offense, I just think he's a better player, just point blank, than Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith is a very stationary shooter, whereas Laravia is this awesome cutter, awesome playmaker, really passes the ball well, moves off the ball well. He's not a guy that runs off of screens and like is going to fire from three or anything like that, but he's really good at relocating and really smart at being able to make these things work. And yes, absolutely the key thing worth noting here is it shouldn't have been either or. The Lakers should have figured it out with Dorian Finney-Smith and then signed Jake Laravia to the taxpayer mid-level. 1,000%. That's what this should have been. But I'm just saying that I don't think the Lakers could have done better than Finney-Smith or than Laravia as a Finney-Smith replacement. Thoughts?
I kind of have to lean on you for this because obviously I trust your evaluation maybe more than anybody that I talk to on a regular basis, to be honest. I want to give a shout out to some of my colleagues at Knicks Film School, but they mostly focus on the Knicks, right? Like Benji Ritholtz, Jonathan Macri, DJ Zulo. But as far as the league is concerned, I lean on you and Bryce for guys I don't get the chance to watch unless the Knicks play them. And I saw you coming in hot and heavy on the Twitterverse about Laravia. And I was like, oh, Sam loves this deal. So I must. Someone who look, the advanced numbers don't pop out, the counting stats don't pop out, but I'm gonna have to lean on you for this. I do think there's to the point that was just made, you could have just signed both and not called it an off season, but been okay with your off season. Lakers have a lot of pieces that I'm curious how they all fit next season in particular. Obviously the big one that's we'll see where he's taking his talents to next, if not staying in LA for the rest of his career. But my thoughts are that obviously I trust your evaluation without really getting the chance to to see Laravia play that much, Sam?
I think that what I'm most intrigued by, I guess, with Laravia is it should be a really good fit offensively with what JJ Redick likes to operate with, right? I think that the way that he moves off the ball, it's not just like we're going to run him off of like 3 pin downs for him to get open from 3, right? I think Laravia's movement tends to be more like instinctual, like grab and go give and go passes or relocations from the corner up to the wing where he knows that Luka is going to be able to find him on like a drive and drift, right? Or from the wing to the corner as a drift, right? Like, I just think there are a lot of different ways that he fits with what they're trying to do on offense around Luka. And it's not that Finney-Smith didn't work. I just think that the passing, the cutting, the similar level shooting, it's a little bit more dynamic than what Finney-Smith brought to the table.
Is there a player comp that you would go to with Laravia?
It's funk. He's a funky player is kind of the thing. Like,
so I'll just say this real quick. When you were talking about like perception not being reality with looking at a funky white guy and assuming automatically he's not great at defense, I happen to think Sam Hauser is like a serviceable defender on ball.
Sure.
So that's the place I went to.
He's more of like a sniper, Hauser. Like, Hauser is more of your relocate behind the 3-point line, fire from distance off of open threes, and you can run him off of real actions. With Laravia, it's more like cutting, moving both inside the arc, outside the arc. Needs to be better as a finisher, first and foremost. Like that's where the big lift is going to be if he lifts his game. But like, he's also not like a crazy volume 3-point shooter because he does like to operate like cutting back door, 45 cutting from the rim or from the wing, right? Like he's just, there isn't really there's not a name that comes to mind, weirdly. He is a funky player, but he's a valuable player, I think.
Yeah.
And he can really pass it is the thing. Like, can really, really pass it.
Well, we'll see how he does in LA.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit. I think it is genuinely a good fit. And if you told me he's more valuable over the next 2 years than DFS is over the next 2 years, that would not blow my mind at all. And he's going to make half as much as DFS.
You heard it here first, folks.
And again, they should have both completely. But if the question was Laravia and like DeAndre Ayton or something, which by the way, I'm like, I kind of want to wait to see where Ayton signs. Can you imagine JJ Redick coaching DeAndre Ayton?
Lose his mind. Yeah.
Gonna absolutely lose his mind if it happens. Gonna lose his mind every night. But maybe that's what DeAndre needs. Like, I don't know.
These are there are certain circumstances with the Lakers, whether it be the potential for JJ Redick to coach DeAndre Ayton, or I can't even think of a second example, but where I want to go back through time of the JJ Redick pod, not only to see has he interviewed said player and then gotten a takeaway of a player. I want to know, has he ever had a thought about Ayton and some of his habits or lack thereof that may come in to play that he potentially went into the front office and said, no, thank you. Although it does seem like that's where this is headed, that DeAndre Ayton's going to go to the Lakers. So
would be quite funny.